Have you ever looked at your bank balance and felt that quiet confusion where nothing seems wrong? Yet nothing seems to be moving forward either. You didn't blow your money on something outrageous. You didn't quit your job. You didn't make a reckless decision. You showed up. You worked. You paid your bills. And still, the number feels stuck, like it's frozen in place. This feeling is more common than most people admit. From the outside, life appears stable. Inside, there's a constant sense that progress is slower than it should be, that the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels massive, that reaching something like your first $100,000 feels unrealistic, almost reserved for a different category of people. But here's the truth that changes everything once you truly understand it. Building your first significant amount of wealth is not difficult because you're incapable. It's difficult because of how the system works at the beginning. The early stage of wealth building follows completely different rules than the later stages. And once you cross a certain threshold, those rules change in your favor. This isn't motivation. It's math. It's psychology. And it's structure. Let's start with something uncomfortable but important. Most people believe they're bad with money. They assume they lack discipline, intelligence, or willpower. In reality, most people aren't failing because they're irresponsible. They're failing because they're operating in the hardest phase of the game without realizing it. Think of wealth like pushing a stalled car. At the beginning, it takes enormous effort just to get it moving. Your legs shake. Your breathing gets heavy. Every inch feels earned. But once the car starts rolling, momentum takes over. Suddenly, the same effort produces far more movement. The weight didn't change. The physics did. Money works the same way. In the early phase, every dollar you save comes directly from sacrifice. You earn it, protect it, and move it forward manually. There is no assistance, no momentum, no amplification. It's pure effort. This is why the beginning feels unfair. If you manage to save $5,000 and invest it responsibly, the returns are almost insulting. A few $100s in growth over an entire year, that doesn't change your life. It barely changes your month. And because the reward feels small, motivation fades. People assume investing doesn't work because the early feedback is weak. But the feedback isn't weak because the strategy is wrong. It's weak because the base is small. When your foundation is small, growth looks invisible. When your foundation is large, growth looks effortless. This is the core reason why people quit too early. They judge long-term systems using short-term results. Now fast forward mentally. Imagine instead of 5,000, you've built 100,000. Suddenly, normal market movement can produce changes that exceed many monthly salaries. Growth stops feeling theoretical. It becomes tangible, noticeable, real. And here's the part most people underestimate. The biggest change isn't financial. It's psychological. When your money starts producing meaningful results, your behavior changes. You stop questioning whether saving is worth it. You stop feeling deprived. You stop needing motivation. The system begins reinforcing itself. This is momentum, and momentum is the most powerful force in wealth building. So why don't more people reach this stage? Because the early phase punishes impatience and rewards consistency, while modern life rewards the opposite. We live in an environment designed to extract money quickly. Convenience replaces planning. Speed replaces patience. Visibility replaces substance. Every system around you encourages spending now and worrying later. When income increases, expenses rise silently alongside it. Not because people are irresponsible, but because adaptation is automatic. What felt luxurious last year becomes normal this year. And once something feels normal, it stops feeling optional. This is how people with decent incomes stay broke. Not through one big mistake, but through thousands of small ones that feel harmless in isolation. This creates the illusion that saving is impossible, when in reality money is simply being redirected before it ever has a chance to accumulate. The first shift required is awareness. Most people don't actually know where their money goes. They have estimates. They have assumptions. But they don't have clarity. And without clarity, control is impossible. Small recurring expenses feel insignificant because they're familiar. Familiarity lowers resistance. But repetition magnifies impact. A small cost repeated consistently becomes a major barrier over time, not because it's large, but because it never stops. The second shift is priority. Most people treat saving as optional. Bills are mandatory. Lifestyle is mandatory. Comfort is mandatory. Whatever remains goes toward the future, if anything remains at all. This order guarantees failure. Wealth builders reverse the sequence. They treat future security as non-negotiable, not emotional, not aspirational, structural. When saving happens first, behavior adjusts automatically. Spending adapts to what remains instead of consuming everything by default. The third shift is time perspective. Human brains prioritize now. Immediate comfort feels real. Future benefit feels abstract. That imbalance quietly shapes decisions every day. Enjoyment isn't the problem. Unrestricted enjoyment is. Without boundaries, present comfort slowly steals future freedom. The fourth shift is understanding debt correctly. Debt used to create future value expands options. Debt used to fund consumption compresses them. Most people are never taught the difference. They're taught that debt is either bad or normal, instead of functional or destructive. This misunderstanding keeps people running in place. The fifth shift is social pressure. Many financial decisions are not logical. They're social. People spend to keep up, to blend in, to avoid feeling behind. But appearance is expensive, and maintaining appearances delays progress indefinitely. Ironically, the people with the most financial stability feel the least pressure to prove it. Now let's address the turning point: income. Saving alone is slow, powerful, but slow. The real accelerator comes from widening the gap between what you earn and what you spend. This is where mindset matters. Most people assume their income is fixed, that their job defines their ceiling, that effort equals hours. But income is more flexible than most realize once they stop viewing it as a single stream. Additional income doesn't require perfection. It requires willingness to be uncomfortable temporarily, learning, experimenting, failing quietly, improving gradually. The fastest path to meaningful savings is not finding a magical investment. It's consistently redirecting excess cash into boring, reliable systems and allowing time to do the heavy lifting. Boring works, flashy distracts. When consistency meets time, momentum forms. And once momentum forms, behavior becomes easier, not harder. Here's the transformation most people don't expect. By the time you reach your first significant milestone, you are no longer the same person who started. Your relationship with money has changed. You think in systems instead of impulses. You evaluate trade-offs automatically. You delay gratification without friction. That's why the second milestone comes faster. Not just because your money is growing, but because you've grown. You see opportunities earlier. You can afford patience. You can tolerate volatility. You can wait. And waiting is a privilege that only stability provides. This is why wealth appears to compound socially, psychologically, and financially at the same time. It isn't luck, it's leverage. Most people never experience this because they quit during the heaviest phase. The phase where effort is highest and feedback is lowest. But that phase is temporary. The discomfort you feel now is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're pushing against resistance. Resistance always appears before momentum. Your current balance is not a verdict. It's a snapshot. Wealth isn't built through dramatic moments. It's built through alignment. Small decisions pointing in the same direction long enough for physics to take over. The first major milestone doesn't make you rich. It makes you dangerous, in the best way possible. Dangerous to stagnation, dangerous to limitation, dangerous to fear. Because once you've proven to yourself that progress is possible, quitting stops being an option. The hardest part isn't the math. It's staying consistent while results are invisible. But invisible progress is still progress. And one day, without warning, the numbers start moving faster than your effort. That's when you finally understand why people say the beginning is the hardest. Not because it's impossible, but because it demands belief before evidence. The question isn't whether this works. The question is whether you're willing to stay long enough for it to start working for you. Your future isn't built in one decision. It's built in what you repeat. Start repeating the right direction, and momentum will handle the rest.